Welcome to Season 2 of the SOAR podcast, the place for creative entrepreneurs who want to build healthier, happier, more profitable self-employed businesses. I'm your host, Ray Hyde Cornell, business mentor at Chiron Consulting and CEO and senior copywriter at Cornell Content Marketing. Get ready to soar. Welcome to the SOAR podcast. Today's episode is very special. We have Anjani Amriit. Anjani, tell our listeners what you do.
I help train leaders to become more conscious. So we work in holistic leadership. We also empower women. So we're a women's empowerment advocate, and we mobilize change makers to make the world a better place.
And your business is so multi-pronged. You work one-on-one with people, you do group retreats, you also have this incredible give back, charitable contribution that you partner with nonprofit organizations all over the world.
Yes. We have a lot of interest in helping out people and projects, but the main thrust of the work that we do is really bringing practical wisdom to people in everyday life to help them overcome challenges, problems, difficulties, help them reach their greater potential. And we do that by fusing Eastern technologies with Western psychologies. And so it's bringing real wisdom from ancient times, ancient traditions, and bringing it into a practical, modern situation so people can use that information and really get ahead, stand out from the crowd, gain confidence, overcome a challenge, transition from a workplace or career, and find more purpose and meaning and bring that to the world.
Yeah, and all for the purpose of making the world a better place and having positive impact. And that's what's so fascinating to me. There's so many things that are fascinating to me about your business, but the fact that you work on that granular individual level and you see the direct connection between impacting that one individual in such a positive way and the ripple effects that they will have through time and throughout the world to have that positive impact and be those change makers. It can almost be overwhelming at times, I think, to think about how much impact you're having in such a grand scheme, but starting at such a minute one-to-one level.
Yes, and what I've noticed is that often people, when they say, oh, I'm looking to change the world, I want to make a better place, I want to start a business that creates a positive change in people's lives, we often forget that we have to start with ourselves, and we don't realize often it's a blind spot. How do I change the world, but how do I do that and help myself at the same time? Because I'm not feeling great, I'm struggling. And so it always starts with self. And I'm a huge proponent of self-awareness, self-inquiry, so we can support ourselves. It all comes back to self. Everything in life that we're wanting to get, or we're struggling with, or we're challenged by, is within us. The solution's within us. And if we start with self and we end with self, then we can be a positive change for other people. And what I mean by that is, say, I'm a coach or I'm a business owner and I want to make a bigger impact through my business, and I want to really transform people's lives or positively affect climate change or whatever it is, then often I'll be struggling in my own business day to day. My relationships aren't working and that's distracting me. It's taking up my bandwidth. Or I'm worried about earning enough money in my business, or I'm on a spiritual journey with my business and it doesn't feel spiritual to want to earn money, or I'm trying to get more clients, but I don't want to be sleazy because I'm on this awakened conscious journey. And so we have to look at that in self first. We have to heal those limitations, those woundings first, and then we can come to our purpose, our path, our mission from a higher power, from our greatest wisdom. And when we do that, everything we need comes to us. It just flows to us. Then we can start to make the seemingly impossible possible.
And it goes beyond your work then at that point when you do focus on the self. Because if we think about how we walk through our day-to-day lives, we don't just spend 24/7 in our businesses. That's only maybe a third of how we're spending our time. We're also spending our time in our communities and with our family and with our friends. And so if your business is making you miserable, if it's stressing you out, if it's making you feel conflicted and out of integrity, then maybe your business is able to function and operate and do some good in the world. But what's the energy that you're sending out? What are the ripple effects that are happening when you're off the clock, when you're with your spouse? If you're in that state where you walk into a room and the room gets tense, that's the change that you're affecting in the world. And so starting with yourself allows you to go way beyond your work and also impact everyone that you touch.
Yes. And also, people buy your relationship to the thing that you're offering. So if you're in your business day to day and you wake up exhausted, you haven't slept, you're worried about money, you're worried about clients, you're worried about your staff, you're any of those things, then that's the energy you are putting into your business. And so people don't realize this, but it's so important to understand that there's an energetic exchange in our businesses and in our relationships and at home. But if we're looking at our business, it's an energy exchange, and people pick up on that. It's unconscious. It goes on under the radar, but people feel it. And that doesn't attract, that doesn't make us magnetic, because people feel our tired energy, our exhaustion, our frustration. And yes, we will get some clients trickling through, but it won't be fulfilling. It won't be exciting. It won't be rewarding, because that's what we're attracting. We're attracting people who are also frustrated and angry and not earning enough money and et cetera, et cetera. So to become really magnetic and attractive in your business, I call it yin marketing. It's this process of understanding that people buy our relationship to what we're offering. If I'm loving what I'm doing, I'm happy in my life, I'm full of energy, people get drawn to that. And they can't put their finger on it, but they just go, wow, who are you? What are you doing? And I want some of that. And that's what I find happens with my clients. And all of my business works on referral. Like I really do. And I shouldn't be saying this to you because you're a compliment, but I don't do traditional, conventional marketing. I do yin marketing, where I work with people and then their shift and how their energy shifts and becomes magnetic and attractive makes those people around them go, what are you doing? What have you been doing?
Tell me your secret.
Tell me your secret. And then they kind of go, well, I've got this secret weapon called Anjani. And then so they refer. And that's what you want. You want raving fans. And so it all begins and ends with you. You are your business, whether you're selling services, whether you're selling products, whether you're selling yourself, it doesn't matter. It is you that people come to. Even if you have a large organization, a medium or a startup, it doesn't matter. Whoever is founder, CEO, COO, that's the energy that gets put into the business, into the culture of the business. It funnels down through the culture. And we're not taught this at school. We're not taught this on our MBAs. We're not taught this in leadership programs. All programs and training is what you can do externally, what external strategies you can have. And we need those. I'm not dissing those. We need them. But there's a whole other piece to the coin. The other side of the coin is the internal work and our energy and how we feel about what we're putting out there. And that is as important. That's the other 50% of the equation.
It really is. And I love that you speak to that and you help people kind of rectify that energy within them. And I mean, this is true within my own business and within my own life. I can't tell you how many, it's probably more times than not, that after I have an initial call with someone And they ask me all the questions and I ask them all the questions and we go, okay, I think we're a good fit to work together. Let me send you a proposal. They come back and they almost immediately say, you know what? I really loved your energy. I hear that all the time. I love your energy. Let's go ahead. Go ahead and send me that proposal. I'm ready to get started whenever you're available. I hear that all the time. And it's not, I loved your proposal, your pricing is great, or your services are exactly what I need. Those are factors too. But it always comes back to the energy piece, which is just fascinating to me, especially when a lot of these conversations are happening over the phone. They can't see me, we're not in the same room, but it's that attitude and that energy that you embody about your work and what you're doing that people want to be a part of. And so, how do people even go about starting this journey of healing their own energy and getting right with that so that they can start having that positive change, especially for those people who are maybe in a place of burnout or near burnout or just exhaustion and frustration?
Yes, I mean, that's how I came to it. I burnt out. I was a
Yeah.
corporate lawyer for 16 plus years, and I was working 22-hour days for months on end. I had no rest. I wasn't exercising. I dropped like 15 kilos. I had chronic irritable bowel. I had regular panic attacks. I was running on anxiety and adrenaline, and I was a wreck. Now, even though externally it seemed like I was very successful, I had
Yeah.
an amazing career. I worked at the top law firms in the world. I was flown business and first class around the world on deals. I was negotiating trillion-dollar mergers, acquisitions, business sales. I had all the money I could ever want. I had a beach pad, like I had it all externally. But inside, I was dying. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand. And I think this is the same for many people. We don't understand because it's not in our Western culture to look inwards. There is no talk about energy or soul or spirituality, or we're starting with yoga and meditation now, and that's becoming more mainstream and acceptable, and that's so good for us as a culture. And so where people can start is just realizing that it's a blind spot, and listening to this podcast and going, wow, I didn't realize there's another part of me that I'm not tapped into, and there might be a blind spot here. Am I checking in? Am I happy, or am I burnt out? Am I miserable? Am I exhausted? At the end of the day, do I feel full of energy or drained of energy? And I when I first start working with people, I say, do an energy check-in, check in with, where's your energy at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day. That will tell you very clearly if you're aligned with what you want to do or not, whether you're putting out good stuff or not energetically. It will tell you really quickly, is my cup full or is it empty the whole time? And so I basically took myself off to India and I did my own Eat, Pray, Love story. And that's where, I trained with many masters through many traditions. And that's what helped me really heal and come back to well-being, get grounded, get centered, understand this wisdom, and find my purpose. And I really discovered my purpose through healing myself, through understanding what makes me tick, what energizes me, what are the things that I enjoy, and coming back to self and being anchored in self, anchoring my sense of security in myself. So the easiest and quickest, or the first step for people to do, is just to understand, there's a whole other part of me that I haven't tapped into yet. And that is my energy body, my energy anatomy, the energy of my business, because every business has an energy body as well. And understand there's a blind spot here. Maybe there's something that I can do about it. Checking in with yourself. How are your energy levels? What are you putting out in your business? Is it joy and exuberance, or is it frustration, fear, and insecurity? And then understand that, looking for someone who can guide you through that, a really good trusted advisor or a trusted mentor to help you navigate through that in a way that you can do it really quickly and really successfully. Someone who's been there before and knows the route, so they can take you straight to where you want to go.
And, luckily, I feel very lucky because I'm probably more familiar with your work than most people, since I've got to spend time with you and, talk about your brand voice and all of those great pieces. And one of the pieces of language that you use, it just sticks in my mind as so powerful, is insourcing versus outsourcing. And so tell me a little bit about that, because I feel like that's something that is really going to resonate with a lot of people in terms of how they recharge at the end of the day. I mean, they feel like their tank is empty. What do they do? And maybe where should they be shifting their focus?
Great question. So outsourcing looks and feels like this. I'm at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I've done my work. I've been running my business all day. I've been taking calls, etc. So I'm exhausted. I'm probably a bit angry. I'm probably depleted. I'm probably feeling frustrated that I'm not getting the impact that I want. I will outsource my need for relief, joy, energy, relaxation to a glass of wine. Or I'll outsource it to Netflix or binge to get one of my needs met, to get my needs met. Or I'll outsource it to my partner, or I'll outsource it to Bumble, or I don't know if you have that in the States, but or Tinder, or
Yes.
I'll just outsource. I'll get what I need from outside of me. Whereas, and I'm, there's no judgment around that, because we all do it. It's a blind spot. But it's time that people get help and understand and get support to understand that takes a lot of extra effort and energy. I've got to pay for Hinge, and I've got to pay for Bumble. I've got to pay for Netflix. I've got to pay for all of the wine. I've got to pay for, my shoe habit, which was mine. I would buy my happiness with shoes and coats. But it's expensive, it takes energy, and it's fleeting, it doesn't last. And so, a relationships is a big way in which we outsource, getting more likes I'll go on Instagram and see how many likes I've got to feel good about myself. And all we have to do is flip it inside. So insourcing is being able to source our needs by ourselves. So parenting ourselves, turning inwards, understanding what our need is by just checking in. What do I need right now? Asking yourself at the end of the day, what do I need right now? And how can I do this in a healthy way? How can I give myself reassurance that everything's going to be all right? How can I reassure my fears? How can I reassure my insecurities? And be like the most loving parent that we would want for ourselves, to ourselves, lovingly parent ourselves. It's not just self-love, it's more specific than that. It's how can I be that loving mother and father to myself? How can I give myself these needs? Not to the exclusion of having other people giving it to us, but first and foremost. That's how we fill our own cup first. And then when we're doing that, it's kind of like, practicing, you want to run a marathon. So how do I get to run the marathon? Every day I've got to kind of get up, put my running shoes on and go for a run. I might start with 10 minutes. I might start with 15 minutes and build up over time. So there are some major needs that are unmet. One of them is a fear or insecurity, usually around money or love, or if in business, it's getting more clients, getting more work. How can I reassure myself? How can I insource that need? And when we do that, it's really powerful. It's very liberating. And we start to feel better. We start to feel better about ourselves. We start to feel better about our business. And that then starts to overflow into what we're putting out.
I think everyone right now is running through the list in their head going, Oh my God, how am I outsourcing? Yep, the wine, the Netflix, the this.
Yeah,
So
and we all do it. So let's not
we all
judge
do.
ourselves.
Not at all.
It's not to judge ourselves. It's just to get more aware. And be curious. That's curious. That's interesting. It's not a
And
bad thing. Yeah.
right, and asking ourselves, what need is that thing fulfilling? What
Mm,
need is the glass of wine fulfilling? What need is the Netflix fulfilling? Yeah.
yes,
So
exactly.
on that very thought-provoking note, we're going to take a quick break to drop some resources for our listeners.
Hey, this is Ray. Ready to build a business that supports a life you love, a life you've always dreamed of? It's time to stop passively dealing with what's right in front of you and start deliberately designing your own future. That's exactly what we do in private business mentoring. You and I work together to create a completely custom to you business model that gives you everything you want and need while protecting you from stress and burnout. Ready to get started? Go to chironconsulting.us/mentoring to learn more. There you can also book a free call with me so we can start getting to know each other and see if mentoring is right for you. Plus, I love working with early stage entrepreneurs. That's why my mentoring packages are priced so low. I want you to soar. So don't worry about having to shell out thousands of dollars. Not here. Just go to chironconsulting.us/mentoring to learn more.
And we're back. Okay, so Anjani, I want to ask you about this Eastern meets Western, ancient meets modern philosophy, because I feel like that is very unique to your work. There are a lot of coaches out there who focus on spirituality and helping people awaken that side of themselves, and then there are a lot of coaches out there who help people build those businesses, and I'm one of them. My whole goal is to help people build healthier, happier, more profitable businesses. And you have found this amazing harmony between that ancient and the modern, the spiritual and the practical. Tell me about that and how you find that balance so things aren't so woo-woo, but they're more like that practical wisdom.
Yes, it's a journey that I took myself personally. Coming from corporate law, I was very highly trained in strategy, practicality, negotiation, logical thinking, and intellect. But it didn't serve me when it came to my own personal happiness and joy. It was only when I started training with these great yogis and, in the Eastern philosophies that I started to understand that I have a soul as well, or an energy body, or I have energy, and that there was this whole other part to me. So when I work with people now, I bring the two together. So I'm trained in psychosynthesis, which is psychology, synthesis of psychology and spirituality.
Mm.
And so the way in which I work is I bring both of those together in a very practically applicable way for the modern world. We can't sit and read an ancient text and then go, oh, I'll just apply that to my modern day life.
Right.
It is absolutely impossible. It's like the two worlds are so far apart. So the work that I do is helping people just interpret how they can bring wisdom into their businesses, into their lives in a very practical way. And wisdom is something that is beyond our intellect or our logical, rational mind. So we need the mind, but the mind has to serve the wisdom, our intuition, our gut feeling. And so I train leaders and people in positions of power, business owners, founders. I train them in dialing into this other part of themselves, dialing into their wisdom. How you do it, I specifically train them in how to do it so that they can tap into that. And that is an infinite pool of
Yeah.
joy, knowing, intuition, wisdom, guidance. It's infinite.
Mm.
And I don't, so it's all about empowering others. I don't say, I know all the answers and I'm going to give you the answers. I say, I know how to help you tap into your own internal power source. And then you can go off and take that into every area of your life and up level your impact, up level what you're wanting to do. from a very different place. So it's bringing those two things together, blending them, fusing them, like the modern chefs. They all bring a beautiful fusion of different cultures and make something new. And if we want to be innovative, creative, we've got to do it in a new way. We've got to do it in a different way. And why not tap into these amazing powers that the yogis had all those years ago that are very applicable to our modern day society and modern day lives and businesses?
Yeah, because the energy never left. The energy, the connection, the source, the universe, that's all been here all along. It's just our way of life and our tools and the way we interact with each other has shifted over the years. So all of these things that you're talking about are still wildly applicable. We've just kind of put them on the back burner because other things that are shinier, like Netflix and Facebook and all the things that are right at our fingertips, are more readily available. And so, what are some of the biggest transformations that you've seen in your clients? Can you give us an example of so and so started here, and then we went through this process, and they ended up here and actually achieved what they wanted all along?
There are so many.
Yeah, I know. It's like pick from the multitude of examples.
Let's look at one this week. So one of my clients this week, she came to me miserable, depressed, anxious, lacking in confidence, no confidence whatsoever, working in a job that she'd been working in for the last 20 years that she hated, that it was just sucking her soul dry. She had a poor relationship with her son. She wanted to improve that. She was single mom, and had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. She wanted to run her own business. She did run her own business years ago, and she'd been through a very messy divorce, and that left her very scarred. So she came to me basically an empty shell, and she wanted to find her purpose. She wanted to find a new role in corporate that earned her $200,000 more than what she was earning because she couldn't make ends meet. She wanted to set up her own business, improve her relationship with her son, get clear, and feel good about herself and have confidence. So this week, I've been working with her for 3 months now, and this week she messaged me. She has now got a new business. So she started her own business. She got a new job in corporate doing what she loves, earning $250,000 more.
Oh,
more.
wow.
She's now clean and sober. She also did yoga teacher training, and she's training other people and taking yoga training classes as well. She's won a corporate training program gig for her business. So right off the bat, a $10,000 corporate gig right off the bat. And she's bought a new house. So she's into wealth creation as well. So all of that has happened for her in a very, very short amount of time.
And is that typical, 3 months, to see that much transformation?
Sometimes it depends on how open people are to the energy work, because it's the energy work that makes the difference.
Yeah.
Because it's not talk therapy, the work that I do. We do some talking, but the thing that makes rapid transformation is when we change our energy. If we change our energy, we literally can change our lives overnight. It can be astounding. It's always miraculous. My clients are always saying to me, Anjani, you'll never believe it. And I'll go, yes, I will. I'm in the business of helping people make the seemingly impossible possible. They'll come to me saying, well, I can't because I don't have enough money. I can't because my children are still at home. I can't because my husband will never agree. I can't because I don't have enough qualifications. There's always these I can'ts, it's not possible. And when we can shift our energy around that, when we can let go of tiredness, exhaustion. We can let go of trauma, not through talk therapy or psychology, but energetically. It gets stuck in our energy body. And the work that I do just is to pull it out, is to release it so that it's just not there. We don't need to get into the story. We just can let it go and then move forward. And so, yeah, that's one example, and it's a typical example. And rapid transformation is the name of the game.
So one more thing I wanted to ask you about before we end. I mean, I could talk to you forever, so I'm having a hard time limiting myself to just a few things today. But the other thing that I feel like is unique to your messaging is this idea of feminine leadership. And you talk a lot about working with leaders, with change makers, and it's all in the context of feminine leadership. And we hear a lot today about, empowering women and the women's movement and things like that are really coming back to life now. But I feel like the term feminine leadership isn't as simple as it may read. So tell me about feminine leadership and what that actually means in application.
Yes. And I agree with you. Look, we've come a long way as women to overcome these gender stereotypes. And there's a huge, thanks to the Me Too movement and everything else that's happened, we've come such a long way, and women are more and more stepping into their power. But when we talk about when I talk about feminine leadership power, it's beyond gender. And I'm talking really about the qualities of leadership. So it can be misleading, but it comes from the Eastern tradition of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. And those qualities in the East, it's also called yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about is the qualities or traits of leadership. So with feminine leadership or yin leadership, what we're talking about is things like conscience, a social moral conscience, a moral compass in doing what's right for the company, for our bottom line, and people. So it's people, planet, profit, and bringing those three into our businesses. And if you look at any statistics right now, and I've been looking at the statistics on what makes people make a choice over one business from another, and it's whether businesses are actually giving back. So that social responsibility piece, if we're not including that in our business, then we are missing out on a whole range of clients, and clients will switch services if we're not doing that. So it's conscience. The second one is collaboration, collaborating with others, collaborating with our staff. And that might go from asking rather than telling, and also collaborating with other people on our businesses. How do we collaborate with other people on Instagram? How do we collaborate with other businesses who are also doing same or similar things? And the old patriarchal way, the old masculine way of doing that is divide and conquer. And the feminine leadership power is about coming together and supporting each other and amplifying each other's voices, because we are way more powerful when we do it that way. And also the third one is creativity, which really is innovation. Feminine leadership is innovative. Masculine leadership is do the same thing as we've always done and don't do it differently, because this is how it works. So it doesn't allow for any new ideas. And so if we're leading a business or a company or organization, we have to allow these new ideas. We have to empower our staff, our teams, even our clients to give us feedback, to step up and say, well, what do you want? What do you think? Ask, not tell. And it really enriches our organizations. It enriches our message. It enriches our brand. It enriches everything. It enriches us, because when we're creating something new, it's so exciting. So that's what we mean by feminine leadership.
And you do this work with men and women. It's not just working with female leaders, it's empowering leaders with these feminine principles.
Yes, absolutely.
Anjani, like I said before, I can listen to you talk all day long. I find you absolutely fascinating. So where can our listeners find out more about you, learn more about you, and potentially work with you?
You can find me on my website, which is just my name, anjaniamriit.com. I'm also on all the socials. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And if you are on my Instagram page, on my website page, I've got lots of free downloads. I'm starting a 4-week feminine leadership power program this month. So if you're interested in that, you can find more information on my website. You can access my book, Corporate Dropouts, which you are a part of. It's amazing. We reached international bestseller. And there's lots of free downloads if you're looking to find your purpose or get clarity around your purpose or your business.
Thank you so much for being here today, Anjani. This was fantastic.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Ray here again. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and rate us in your favorite podcasting platform. Want to be a guest on the show or know someone who has an amazing story of entrepreneurship? Apply on our website at chironconsulting.us/podcast.